Good morning, students. This is Latif sir. Today I'll discuss about oxidation reduction and theory of electrolytic dissociation. So first, oxidation and reduction. What are these oxidation reaction and reduction reactions? You have already studied in lower class in class 8 about oxidation reaction and reduction reaction. And here I have already studied, and you know that there are many ways to define oxidation reaction and reduction reactions. You can define oxidation reactions in terms of electron, in terms of oxygen, in terms of hydrogen, and similarly you can define reduction reaction in terms of electrons, in terms of oxygen, in terms of hydrogens. Okay, in this chapter you have to remember the definition of oxidation and reduction in terms of electron only. In this chapter, in electrolysis, you have to remember the definition of oxidation and reduction in terms of electron only. Okay, it is useful in this chapter. Okay, so first, oxidation. What is oxidation? In terms of electronic concept, oxidation means loss of electron. Loss of electron means oxidation. That is, oxidation is defined as a process in which an atom or an ion loses electrons, one or more electrons. Okay, oxidation is a process in which an atom or an ion loses one or more electrons. So loss of electron means oxidation. For example, when zinc loses 2 electron, it becomes Zn2 plus ion. This is an oxidation reaction. Similarly, when Fe2 plus loses one more electron, it becomes Fe3 plus. And when S2 minus sulfide ion loses 2 electron, it becomes sulfur S. Okay, so these are oxidation reaction. And you can also define oxidation in terms of oxygen and in terms of hydrogen. In terms of, you know that in terms of oxygen, oxidation means addition of oxygen. Oxidation means addition of oxygen. For example, C plus O2 implies CO2. This is an oxidation reaction. Similarly, in terms of hydrogen, oxidation means removal of hydrogen. Okay, oxidation means removal of hydrogen. Now there are now see oxidizing agent. What are oxidizing agent? An oxidizing agent is one that oxidizes the other substances. An oxidizing agent is one that oxidizes other substances by accepting electrons or by providing oxygen. Okay, there are many examples of oxidizing agents. Some oxidizing agents are solid in state, some oxidizing agents are liquid in state, and some oxidizing agents are gaseous in state. For example, solid oxidizing agent, manganese dioxide, lead dioxide, these are solid oxidizing agent. Liquid oxidizing agents, example are hydrogen peroxide, concentrated nitric acid, concentrated sulfuric acid, bromine, etc. These are liquid oxidizing agent. And gaseous oxidizing agents are oxygen gas, ozone gas, chlorine gas, sulfur dioxide gas, etc. These are gaseous oxidizing agent. Now say reduction. What is reduction? Just opposite of oxidation. And I have told that you have to remember the definition of reduction also in terms of electron. Okay, in this chapter. So reduction is gain of electron. I've told that loss of electron means oxidation. So gain of electron is oxidation, is reduction. Okay, so reduction is the process. Reduction is defined as the process in which an atom or an ion gains electron, in which an atom or an ion gain one or more electrons. For example, when copper 2 plus ion, Cu2 plus ion, Q plus ion accept 2 electron, it becomes Cu copper. So this is A reduction reaction. Similarly, when sulfur accepts 2 electron, it becomes S2 minus ion. S2 minus ion, sulfide anion. This is also a reduction reaction. And I have told you can also define the reduction in terms of oxygen and in terms of hydrogen. And in terms of oxygen, reduction means removal of oxygen. Reduction means removal of oxygen. And in terms of hydrogen, reduction means addition of hydrogen. Okay. Now reducing agent. Reducing agent. A reducing agent is one that reduces other substances. A reducing agent is one that reduces other substances by providing electrons or by providing hydrogen. Okay. So reducing agent is one that reduces other substances by providing electrons. There are many examples of reducing agents. Some solid reducing agents are carbon. Carbon is a reducing agent. Alkali metals. Metals like zinc, aluminum, copper, sodium, lithium, potassium, these are all reducing agent. And liquid reducing agent, hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide can act both as oxidizing agent and reducing agent. Okay, hydrogen peroxide. And hydrogen iodide, hydrogen bromide, all these are reducing agent, liquid reducing agent. And gaseous reducing agent are hydrogen sulfide, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, etc. Okay, so I have told that oxidation means loss of electron, reduction means gain of electron. And oxidizing agent are those substances, those agents which can oxidize the other substances. And reducing agent are those substances which can reduce the other substances. Okay, now let's see the theory of electrolytic dissociation. And this theory was given by Arrhenius. According to scientist Arrhenius, when an electrolyte dissolves in water, the electrolyte dissociate into ions, into free ions, into cations and anions. Cations, and you know that cations are positively charged ion and anions are negatively charged ion. Cations are formed by losing electron and anions are formed by gaining electron. So when an electrolyte is dissolved in water, it dissociates into free mobile ions. Mobile ions means which can move in any direction. Mobile ions such as that is cations and anions. And these ions, and due to presence of this ion, this electrolyte can conduct electricity. Second point of this theory, all the ions having electric charge, that is cations and anion, are responsible for the flow of current through the solution. So what are the particles which can conduct electricity or current in case of electrolytes? The particles are positively and negatively charged ions, that is cations and anions. All ions having electric charge are responsible for the flow of electric current through the solution. Next point, the conductivity of electrolyte depends on the concentration of the ion in the solution. That is, higher the number of ions present in the solution, higher is the conductivity of the solution. And next point of this theory, the number of positive charge equals the number of negative charge in the solution. Thus, the solution is electrically neutral, or the solution is in electrolytic equilibrium. That is, when an electrolyte dissolves in water, the total number when an electrolyte dissolve in water, it will dissociate to give positively and negatively charged ion, and total number of positive charge and total number of negative charge will be always equal in the solution. Thus, the solution is always electrically neutral. That is, the solution is in electrolytic equilibrium. And next point, in case of non-electrolyte such as sugar, glucose, benzene, in case of this non-electrolyte, there is no ionization and therefore only molecules are present in solution. In solution of non-electrolyte, only molecules are present because the non-electrolytes will not dissociate into ion. And the degree of dissociation of electrolyte is the extent to which an electrolyte dissociate or break up into ions. Now see the difference between Arrhenius concept and modern concept. I have told according to Arrhenius concept, Arrhenius considered that water ionizes the electrolytes. Water ionizes the electrolyte. When you dissolve an electrolyte in water, the water dissociate the or water ionize the electrolyte. But according to modern concept, which considers that the electrolyte are in ionic even in solid state, that is according to the modern concept, not in only in the solution state or in liquid state, the electrolytes are in ionic even in solid state, and their ions are held by strong electrostatic forces which make them immobile. Immobile means they cannot move in solid state only. Okay, according to modern concept, the electrolytes also in the electrolyte also ionic in solid state, but their ions are held by strong electrostatic force which make them immobile. That is, in solid state the ion cannot move. But when you dissolve this electrolyte in water, the water renders these ions, ions mobility by breaking the electrostatic forces. Okay. Now conduction in compound. Conduction in compound. I have told this point. Okay, already told. Again, see conduction in compounds. The electrovalent compounds consist of oppositely charged ions, that is cations and anions, held in their position by strong electrostatic force of attraction in solid state. Okay, hence in solid state an electrovalent compound cannot conduct electricity despite the presence of ion. According to modern theory, I have told that electrolytes are present in ionic form. Okay, but their ions are held by strong electrostatic force of attraction. Therefore, the ions are immobile in solid state. They cannot move. Therefore, they cannot conduct electricity in solid state. But when the electrovalent compound or ionic compounds are melted or dissolved in water, the force of attraction, the electrostatic force of attraction between their ions are broken, and the ions then move and conduct electricity. So the electrovalent or ionic compounds can conduct electricity in presence of, in liquid state or in molten state only. There are some covalent compounds. Generally, covalent compounds cannot conduct electricity because they cannot dissociate into ions. But there are some covalent compounds which are polar in nature and which can ionize in aqueous solution, and therefore they can conduct electricity in aqueous solution. And example of such covalent compounds are hydrochloric acid, nitric acid, sulfuric acid. These are covalent compounds, and water also, which can conduct electricity because they can ionize in water. Okay, in aqueous solution. Thank you, students.